Good morning, everybody. It's Lorraine Alternative Homesteading on Monday, October 21, 2024. It's 11:17 a.m. here in Kentucky. And the moon is in the sign of Gemini for all you Geminis out there, the twins. Just saying. But anyway, last night I posted a video, I should say early this morning, I posted a video reading a chapter on a book called Forbidden Tech by Naima Morris and Tavon Rivers. And in there, towards the end, they mentioned a targeted individual who won a lawsuit. So I wanted to look her up. And I'm going to read to you what I discovered. Okay? Her name is Kathleen Watterson. And on Reddit, it says Kathleen Watterson's website went down last year. Now, this is 8 years ago. Her website linked to the pleadings. The judge granted both parties a restraining order against each other. And on an update, Friday, August 1, 2014, beware of court case win, secretly microwave assaulted targeted individuals. The targeted individual win discussed in this article is actually only a win in terms of success in avoiding a dismissal of the case. The way those involved in this case publicized it indicated to some people that they're possibly involved in manipulating false hope generated by this case. The author extends severe apologies to all TIs if this article has been a source of fostering false hope. So this is what we found here. The cases, for anybody looking it up, is Watterson, Watterson versus Arrow, ARO, court ruling 9/4/2015, Joshua Tree, California. Kathleen Watterson is a TI in Joshua Tree, California, who attempted to get a permanent restraining order against a former neighbor who still lives in her area and is assaulting her with microwave weapons. After many court dates, Kathleen was able to get a temporary restraining order. On 9/4/14, the former neighbor petitioned against a permanent restraining order and won. In a previous court date, the judge referred to the restraining order against microwave assault as, quote-unquote, it's like controlling the fog. But thanks to the judge's advice, Kathleen is working on a bigger and better case against the defendant. So then you could read the judge's ruling below. It's Honorable Frank Gafkowski, Gafkowsky, Jr., who was the presiding judge. Kathleen Watterson, the plaintiff, versus Matti, Mattib, Arrow, ARO, defendant, and Mr. Chan is the defendant's attorney. Okay, so now I'm going to go on to the next article. There is, after this lawsuit, a man named Monty Henry filed a petition on change.org. The petition is federal law for the prevention of electronic harassment. Please sign this petition. Targeted individual Kathleen Watterson wins electronic harassment court case. After a landmark court case when a California targeted individual victim of a secret cell tower RF radio frequency based directed energy weapon won her case in Joshua Tree Superior Court against her perpetrator, which is Arrow, ARO. We have been inundated with other targets pleading for help. The win has stirred a strong emotions and hope of hundreds of innocent targeted individuals, all claiming they're being attacked by secret microwave weapons used for mind control and to torture them. So in summary, Kathleen received a conditional restraining order for electromagnetic frequency harassment with penalties up to 2 years in prison, and up to $5,000 in fines for violation of the court order. The court order was a restraining order. So far, and this is still the case in 2024, Michigan, Maine, and Massachusetts have enacted laws against electronic harassment and targeted individuals. Let's all sign this petition, blah, 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 blah. And let me go down and find additional information here. One second. And now, this is 10 years ago. 10 years ago. Why isn't anybody talking about this? Right? Why isn't anybody talking about this lawsuit? And how is it that this woman, Kathleen Watterson, she was able to win a portion, she located through RF detectors, she was able to discover where her assaults were coming from. And when she discovered where, the direction they were coming from, she was able to locate the individual, the ARO person, the guy, Matty Arrow, who was utilizing this device, pointing it towards her. Evidently, there were radio frequency dishes. And some people have them on their properties, right? They set them up to get TV and Wi-Fi and get better signals and stuff. But this particular individual was directing his dish directly at her house, directly at Kathleen's house. So after a landmark court case, when California targeted an individual victim of a secret cell tower RF radio frequency based directed energy weapon won her case in Joshua Tree Superior Court against her perpetrator. It was Watterson versus Arrow. She's been inundated with other targets pleading for help. The win has stirred strong emotions and hope that targeted individuals, all claiming they're being secretly attacked. So in July 9, 2014, was the first time that we know of that the electronic harassment was successfully argued and proven in a court of law. Levi McCann, the expert witness, and Kathleen Watterson just happened to meet secretly at their nearby Walmart in Southern California, and the rest is history. As Levi turned out to be amazingly qualified with legal expertise and electronics. Everything needed to win a case like Kathleen's in court. Levi was able to show that standard satellite dishes within a 5-mile radius of Kathleen's home were all pointed toward the equator, where most satellites orbit the Earth, except for the defendant's satellite dishes, which were all pointed at Kathleen's house. He also revealed that the other neighborhood satellite dishes were geared toward receiving signals for TV, the internet, etc., except for the defendant's satellite dishes, which, according to the meter readings from an RF spectrum analyzer and a tri-field meter, were shown to be transmitting microwave signals at her house. All the evidence presented, plus expert knowledge and responses from Levi, blew away all the meager protestations from the defense. So the judge believed his testimony. Folks, this case was expertly crafted and victory was assured and won. There remains one more court appearance in September, so in summary, Kathleen received a conditional restraining order for electromagnetic frequency harassment with penalties for up to 2 years in prison and up to $5,000 in fines for violation of the court order. So I hope this is helpful and you can research this yourself. I cannot post links. YouTube doesn't like that. So you can search for targeted individual Kathleen Watterson wins electronic harassment court case. There are a couple of videos on YouTube. They're 8 and 10 years old. So why isn't anybody talking about this? How was it that she was able to win a court case and, you know, those people that filed a lawsuit last year, how come theirs was thrown out? Curious minds want to know. But anyway, one of these articles was in a blog called coherentmadness.blogspot.com. 2015, targeted individual Kathleen Watterson. The other one is a change.org petition entitled Federal Law for the Prevention of Electronic Harassment. And then I wanted to mention that there is a documentary channel. And let me see, I just pulled it up a little while ago. It's from 2 years ago. And the title is, Are People Being Attacked by Directed Energy Weapons? It's the Conspiracy Show. It's a documentary channel. And it's 2 years ago, entitled hashtag electronic harassment. And it says, 2 victims of alleged electronic harassment and organized gang stalking recount their horrible ordeals. Richard investigates possible theories as to who's behind this program and why. And you have to read the comments section. Of course, I just added my comments. But people have adding, I'm so sick of this. It's not a damn conspiracy. And no one has the guts to really investigate and shed light on this. I'm attacked 24/7. I even had my neighbor touch my body and she felt the vibration. We are not crazy. Another person says, the gang stalking is bad, but I can assure everyone that the electronic torture harassment is worse. Another person says, I don't know how someone can deny the existence of this attack on human population when it's so evident, unless you're completely indifferent or stupid enough, or you're part of this heinous act. Another person writes, pending investigation? It's 100% happening. People need to take this seriously if you don't want to be randomly subjected to torture for the rest of your life. Another person writes, why would or should anybody have an answer about why they're being targeted? Can you imagine being a rape victim and walking into a police station only to be met by a police officer who says something like, what makes you so special that anybody would want to RAPE you? I mean, these objections are ridiculous. They're absurd. Another comment. To my fellow human beings who are being tormented and tortured 24/7, please stay strong. Keep your head up. And keep doing what you normally would if you weren't a victim. Even as it's so hard to do so much of the time. I know. But we know that we're good and that there is something great awakening for us when we're done on this planet. I love you all. And then somebody writes, this is one of the best documentaries I've seen on the subject. As a victim of this myself and documenting it on my channel, thank you for taking it seriously. It's going to affect us all soon. And this was 11 months ago, this comment. Another person writes, I'm still under surveillance. I can always hear M, sometimes louder than others, usually accompanied with loud tinnitus and elevated induced anxiety. I experience as well forced telepathy by 3 guys with a 4th in the background who didn't speak but seemed to be monitoring the entire thing. They talked to me about me every waking hour, humiliating me, laughing at my expense. They hit me with EMF weapons, which caused all of my symptoms mentioned in this video. They could remotely read my thoughts. They could see through my eyes mentally. I could read their thoughts, but could partially mentally see the room that they were in. I'm an artist. And I could sketch the face of the man, one of those 3. I could somehow see him better than the others. I could tell when they were exhausted and when they were looking for breaks apart from when I slept. Oh yeah, They could see my dreams as well. They had fun scaring the shit out of me and laughing together at my expense. They all knew all of my embarrassing moments of my past, spanning 2 to 3 decades. I don't quite know how this is all achieved, but I can only guess that they have tools of mass surveillance around for a lot longer than any of us officially know about. I got blacked out drunk repeatedly in connection while intoxicated. I almost died as a result of alcoholism and gave some more embarrassing stuff to bag on me about. Anyway, that part of this stopped about 2 years ago. The forced telepathy was on for about 2 years. God bless anyone who has gone through this or is going through this shit. I almost hope AI does wipe us all out eventually. Humans are flawed creatures and can be unimaginably cruel to one another. Another person writes, the interviewer here may have meant well, but when targets are asked what they did wrong to earn the abuse, it is critically important for everyone to remember that any victim of a heinous crime in our society is almost never asked what they did to earn their rape, their stabbing, their shooting, the burglary, or whatever crime that have been committed against them. The reason this question is asked of a victim is because the question is part of the torture protocol itself, intended to compel a target to find reasons to justify his own torment, thus deflecting the accountability. The question itself is subtly seeded out into the general public psyche by the very abuser so they can use the victim's answer as a justification that they otherwise do not have to brutally violate the person's rights, body, mind, and life. Well, sorry guys. I don't have an excuse to why this is being done to me, other than they're envious, jealous, greedy, pathetic, LOPS, MOPS, COPS, WOPS, and POPS. And you'll have to go to my channel to understand what those acronyms are. But the list goes on and on and on here about the responses. One person says, when I was 3, I had the worst nightmares and getting sick and severe nosebleeds. I was the only kid on the block that parents asked around. They took me to doctors, but they couldn't find the problem. My family immediately said that there was nothing wrong with me. But I felt that maybe spiritual because they were religious. I realized from research decades later about my family's religious influence, and I began to practice thinking without, and I can't read what this says. I always thought I had to be a satellite, which it can today be, but then a friend about 10 years ago got into high mind technology and said that they are building in certain parts of the country or counties that attack people in so many ways, at their jobs, home, on the road. I remember being totally creeped out by this phone company building in my town where I grew up. I noticed that the building was closed for business, but it never renovated, and a new business never moved in. I asked a police officer about it when I was an older kid, and he looked at me mean and said, "You stay away from that building." Who was the first organization to electronically attack people in the 1950s? Wasn't it a telephone company or a broadcast company? They've been doing this crap since before Wi-Fi. So we've got a lot of people that are woke up here. Now, somebody else says, 15 years ago, Jesse Ventura did a show on this technology. He showed the voice to skull and other energy weapons. That's 15 years ago. Thanks so much. Important information for everybody, especially targeted individuals worldwide. I've been going through this since 2018 in Reno, Nevada. When I was in jail, it started, I hate being harassed. It's disgusting how this can happen to people. I'm very familiar with these tactics. This has to stop. We're mentally affected, not mentally ill. Yes, all of us are. We're all blanketed in EMF cell towers, household appliances, 5G transmitters, smart meters. These frequencies are being pulsed into our homes via electronic devices. We're actually shown to be attributing to the C word. You know, the C word that we're not allowed to talk about on VTube. Oh, this is for educational purposes only, just for the record. Constant fatigue, headaches, poor sleep. We are all essentially being poisoned by EMF radiation, and the symptoms correlate with so many other illnesses that it gets overloaded. This has been speculation and research. I can't really say this because it goes with that, you know, the 19 issue. People need to wake up. This torture and targeting, this can happen to anyone. Targeted individuals, stay strong. Oh, this is Tanya. Tanya wrote a year ago. Tanya in Australia. Another person says, I've been attacked by these weapons, microwave weapons from a van in the Western Isles of Scotland. During pre-exam study period for 3 weeks, I was attacked. The pain I suffered then and for years, after both intense and intolerable, and so painful to describe. It took me 20 years of suffering before real recovery allowed me to live a normal life and find a relationship. There's the loss of long-term memory, confusion, vertigo, physical pain, chronic fatigue, struggling with emotions, loss of trust in humanity. I was followed to Aberdeen, where I studied at the Robert Gordon University. Back then, I was a student medical radiographer. Oh, well, it goes on and on, God, on. I'm not gonna read all of this. It's quite long. But the documentary is, are people being attacked by directed energy weapons? The Conspiracy Show. It's a documentary channel. This is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading. Signing off for now. Again, this was with regard to the lawsuit filed by Kathleen Watterson, targeted individual 10 years ago in California. Please remember to hit the thumbs up. It helps the channel grow, get the message out there. And yes, who are the zombies? Zombies are the gang stalkers. They're your neighbors. They want to control your mind and steal your soul.